aside from having to talk to, writers who ask you the same questions over and over and over again, good day for you so far?
Yeah. Yeah, everything's fine.
Okay.
Let's get it.
Sometimes the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame artists don't love talking to the journalists, not Lee. So it is a pleasure to be speaking with you again. And so much going on. There's new music coming out through Rhino. There is the Decades Rock Live thing. Let's talk about that first. So how long did you have to keep it a secret that the Decades Rock Live shows were happening in Atlantic City?
I don't know if it was kept a secret. I guess it was, but for me, I've just been putting the work in and editing the songs. Historically, our band never lets people sit in. Very, very few times in the 50 years we've been together, 50 plus years we've been together, do we have people sit in with us. So on this particular show, these two shows, we're going to have 7 guest artists. So it's highly unusual for us to be doing this at all. And I'm looking forward to it. I've been talking to the artists, and we're going to have some fun.
That is a really good point. When I've seen Chicago live before, you'll see Earth, Wind, and Fire come up for a couple of hits, that kind of a thing. You never see hey, here's Steve Vai coming up to play. Now, are the artists that are playing with you guys in Atlantic City, how did you come up with that list? Are they a mix of friends, mutual management, clients, that kind of thing?
Barry Summers pretty much put the guest list together and ran it by me, and what songs they were going to play, and whether they were going to be able to be free for rehearsals and all of the other stuff that goes into the show. So it took a while to put it together, but we have it together now.
Right. When I've seen Chicago each time, the set list has been totally different. And that sometimes you go, we're giving them the hits. Sometimes you go, we're giving you the hits, but also the deep cuts. Sometimes it's Christmas. What exactly is the theme to this set list? Is it the hits?
Pretty much so. The first segment of the show is going to concentrate on the first album. Second segment is going to concentrate on hits. The third one is going to be like an unplugged segment, and then I guess the fourth one is just sort of let's go on out and do some more hits and end up with a big climax.
Something that I've said in reviews that I've done of Chicago live shows is most bands will play 100 minutes, 110 minutes. They have to throw in some covers because they go, oh, we don't have enough hits to fill the time. In the case of Chicago, you see Chicago and you go, oh, they didn't do that hit, that hit, that hit, that hit. That kind of a thing happens. Is there any fear in you, and I don't know if that's the right word, of going, oh, do we leave out the right hits?
No, because the songs that will be in there will work. That's my feeling anyway. And if I think people will be excited to see what it is we're going to be doing for the show. And I know that I am. I put the edits together and all of the inner workings of the show. So I'm excited for it.
So if I can start with a compliment here, I don't know if you're maxed out on compliments for the day already.
We'll see.
But what you just mentioned about editing the show, when I saw Chicago the summer before this last one, before you hit the stage, we saw a documentary about that latest studio album you made and how it was in your studio that you had built in the midst of the pandemic. So in other words, you're the rare horn player that is a leader of a band, or one of the leaders in the band. You kind of break that stereotype.
I'm one of the leaders of the band, and me, Jimmy, and Robert are the 3 remaining original members of the band. So we pretty much call the shots together and check with each other when something needs to be decided one way or the other. And be able to record in my studio was great fun. The hardest thing was the pandemic, so you couldn't get the physical bodies in there for 13, 14 months until we were able to start traveling. And Jimmy came in and we did some brass parts, and then Lou and Robert came in for some vocals, and the producer came in, you know, so we did some stuff at the studio. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing more.
When did you become an Arizona person? Because you're in a band called Chicago. The documentary I was watching about the Rainbow mentions Chicago a lot, about how in your early days, you playing that and the whiskey and all that
Right.
kind of prop up the band. So it's not like they go, oh, Lee from Arizona. It's kind of like the fourth
No.
place you'd be associated with.
Exactly. You wouldn't think of me being an Arizonian. However, I moved here in 2010, and I've been here ever since. And now I have a studio here. I actually bought a piece of property that I converted into an orchard. So I'm pretty much transplanted here now for the rest of my life. Hopefully it will go on, you know, I'll be 150 years old, and we'll be doing another interview together.
Well, it says a lot.
How did you do it?
How did I interview you at the age of 150?
Yeah.
Zoom's greatness in AI. Have you sold the Chicago AI rights yet, by the way, or is that eventually going to be sold?
I don't even know what you're talking about. The Chicago AI rights, there is such a thing?
Yeah, something that we're seeing. If you go down the list, Irving Azoff has been buying up a lot of bands' legacies.
Uh-huh.
Beach Boys is one of the first from that. I think Graham Nash or Crosby he did. Then we saw the Roy Orbison hologram show.
Whoa!
I think we saw a Tupac hologram come out at Coachella. So those are rights. Eventually, we could see a Lee AI on stage.
That sounds pretty scary. Is this the one with hair?
Join the club, man. Hey, the compliments here. The Christmas record that is, or collection rather, that's coming out through Rhino. Tell me more about that. What's on that?
It's the greatest hits that Rhino has comprised by looking at how the level of sales those songs have done for them, and that's how we decided what the greatest hit package was going to be. And I think that's coming out like November 9th or 10th, or it might be in the stores a little bit earlier, but it's coming out very soon. So we're excited about that. And we're also going to be on the Macy's parade, the Thanksgiving Day parade this next month, at the end of this month. And so a lot of things are coming up besides the Decades Live as well.
Given the longevity and the high level of success for so many years of Chicago, I'd have to imagine that's your like 7th Thanksgiving Day parade.
I think it's our 4th, which is pretty much is unprecedented, I believe, in itself.
Yeah, when I think about it now, my home venue here, when I go to see the big concerts like Chicago, is Jones Beach on Long Island. You've probably played there upwards of 40 times. You've probably played upwards of 40 times at Westbury Music Fair as well.
Yeah, we played there before, when you had to take a boat to the stage. when there was, you know, the sharks moving around the stage in front of us. So and so all of the build up in the recent years, and it's still a lot of fun going to New York and playing for a New York audience. It's really cool.
With coming to a lot of these same venues a lot over the years, do you have any inside jokes or things that you like tried to hide in a venue? Like you signed the back of a door and then you went next time and went, is it still here?
I've never done anything like that. I think Peg probably has, though, somewhere. I don't know if he's even told us. So there might be secret things that I don't even know about.
Yeah, I that's concept or question comes from a friend of a friend of a friend who Eddie Vedder had hired as a ukulele tech or something like that, just to put somebody on a payroll.
He plays a ukulele?
It was either a ukulele or a mandolin, some instrument he didn't really need, but he kept somebody on a payroll to be a roadie. And that guy knew, okay, in this club in Germany, there's this thing hidden in the ceiling. And he went back 2 or 3 years later, and it was hidden in the ceiling.
Okay, what was it, a bullet or something?
You know what? I asked all the wrong questions. I should have asked what was in there. I don't know if it was illegal substances. I don't know what it was.
Okay, yeah. Could have been a little LSD up there waiting for future.
So back to you here.
Yeah.
Very few bands sell more than 50 million records. Very few bands get the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. Very few bands are still on a major label decades later, etc.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you haven't done yet with Chicago you're still hoping will happen?
I think we would like to do, movie scores, but so far that hasn't come up. We'll see what happens in the future. I mean, time is at hand. I'm ready. We are ready. But we've had a great career, a fulfilled career, and it hasn't stopped, and it's not seemingly going to slow down anytime soon. So I'm excited about what we're doing now and what's coming up in the future.
Yeah, that documentary they showed on Access TV kind of emphasized all of that, where the pandemic was one of the only times, if ever, that Chicago was not on the road. I think the only band on the road as much as you guys is Cheap Trick. Is there anyone else?
I don't know, because I'm too busy working to worry about who else is working or not working. So we keep ourselves busy. And as it said in the documentary, we did the 50th year documentary, and then we did a 55-year documentary, because most bands, after they do the 50, they end up going away. So they're not even together by the 55th year. And we showed that we are not only together, but we are moving forward beyond the 55th year.
Right. So are there plans for another studio album, or at least a single in the near future?
Not at this point, but anything can happen. But anyway.
But at least you have Decades Rock Live in Atlantic City to look forward to.
Exactly.
And ultimately, you think that might be a TV special and a home release and all that kind of stuff?
I believe so. Barry would be able to answer those questions, Barry Summers, the producer. But he's not here right now. So I'm pretty sure that's exactly what's in the pipeline for him. And I'll be taking it back to the studio to mix it and sweeten it.
Now, I know about this random recording session that you were a part of with Flavor Flav about 20 years ago for an album that never came out. A Flavor Flav album. Flavor Flav from Public Enemy covered.
I remember who it is, but we never did a recording with him that I'm aware of.
He told me that he was with members of Chicago tracking Does Anybody Know What Time It Is? And the album did not come out because I think Def Jam or someone shelved it.
He may have been doing it, but it was unbeknownst to me, and I don't know if anybody else knew about it either. The only time we met Flavor Flav was at Jones Beach.
Oh wow! Okay.
And he came backstage. We talked for a while, but that was about it. How you doing, Flav?
Well, the real question intended was, a lot of people who are virtuoso players, I'm calling you the virtuoso, not yourself. Yeah. When they're not busy with the tours and the albums, they do a lot of session work. Are there a lot of albums that you kind of ghost played or played on uncredited?
No, not really, because Peter Chivarelli, our manager, has us pretty well booked out. So by the time I come home, I want to put my feet up for a while, and then I usually get up during the day. I practice. I might go to my studio and do something there. We've had a lot of projects with Warner Rhino that we have put together, the Carnegie Hall project from 71. So wow. There's a lot of stuff in the pipeline.
The bottom line is no shortage of excitement. My last question, which I don't know if it's going to get a 3-second response or a 2-minute response, self-indulgent question here. Chicago's crossed paths with everyone. Did Chicago ever cross paths on tour with Van Halen?
No, we did not. And I'm not sure why. Probably both of us were too busy working. And as usual, when somebody comes into town and we are in the same town together on the same night, we're both working, so we can't go to each other's show. So for some reason, we never met them.
Oh, well, thank you for the many, many years of great music, great art. Glad to hear there's more tours coming. There's more archival releases coming, more new material releases coming. It's really hard to keep up with you, Lee, but thank you for doing that.
And Decades Live coming soon.
Decades Rock Live.
Decades Rock Live, excuse me.
Paltrocast. Hey, yo, check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav, and I don't disappear fast, because right now you are watching the Paltrocast.
A pleasure to be speaking with all of you. And my question is kind of a two-parter at Alea and Sir David. And the first part is, what was your first exposure to the Tabernacle Choir? And second, how long did you have to keep it a secret that this ongoing collaboration would be happening?
Okay. First exposure, I'm sure television programs, passing over stuff on PBS. And they're a very famous, globally famous choir. I told my brother about it, who is himself a musical director, and he was like, "Oh my, that's huge."
Yes.
And yeah, so as for how long we had to keep it a secret, I think when you keep busy with work, you kind of forget that it's even happening until the holidays roll around again, and then you get the reminder, okay, so now everybody gets to see what it was that we were a part of late last year and how magical that experience was. And now we get to share that with the viewers of BYU TV and PBS. And it's quite exciting that now we get to share those magical evenings with everyone.
Right.
My first knowledge of the Tabernacle Choir was obviously by repute. I'd never actually, and I have to hold up my hand, and now I feel embarrassed saying it, I'd never have actually witnessed them before. So when I walked onto that stage and saw the size, I mean, the sheer size of that choir, and then heard them sing, I mean, I'm a fairly emotional man anyway, but I just couldn't hold myself together at that particular moment when I first heard them sing, and then to be part of narrating with Mac conducting the fantastic orchestra plus the 500 strong and many choir was literally overwhelming. Apart from keeping it a secret, I've always been very bad at keeping secrets, and I'm afraid I didn't keep it a secret at all.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations to you both on this wonderful event.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Pleasure to be speaking with you,
There you go,
Mr.
man.
Taylor. Or is it Deon? What do you like to be called these days as a self-taught genius? And I know about the self-taught thing.
Man, go ahead, man. Just Deon, man. And I didn't write that, by the way.
I was curious about that before we talk about the season finale. The self-taught part, a lot of top tier writers and producers, they came from the Ivy League system or whatever. In your case, what makes you self-taught? Did you learn formats and all of that yourself? Was it networking that got you to the top level?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, for me as a filmmaker and a writer, I've learned on my own. I learned by just watching movies, writing in the Me tablet, and then actually going into the world and telling people I'm gonna be a filmmaker. So I think that's the self-taught part of it, which is actually really cool. And look, man, I think 99.9% of us are self-taught. You know, I don't know anyone that was in my family that was in film or entertainment or was a director or a writer, you know, and I think that's what makes it great is the fact that we're in a world right now where if you're an artist or a creator, you could just step out and believe that you can go do something. You can start your own podcast or your own TV show or whatever it might be. And I think that's what's fantastic. So that's the self-taught of it.
So to confirm, your real last name is Taylor. It's not Coppola.
No, it's not hopeful. I wish I was part of the family, man. I'd like to get some of the movies they got over there. Yeah, but his daughter seems to be doing a fantastic job right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, over to you right here. It has to be an honor to be asked to direct a season finale of an acclaimed show like this. When did you find out that you were working on the season finale?
You know what? Last year, I was able to jump in and do the finale for 50 and the team over there. And it was a little bit kind of like, it was a bit broken because they didn't know if I could get over there to shoot it. And I hadn't had very much TV experience. And I was able to go over there and actually do it. and that show did extremely well. So then they asked me to come back for the second year for the finale, and I just thought to myself, like, man, what a blessing. And each time you go into these things, no matter what it might be in life, someone gives you an opportunity that you didn't expect, and it actually and that opportunity actually affects them, then you got to show up. You know what I mean? Like, you got to show up in a real way, man. So I take power very serious. What they're doing, I read what they're doing. I try to pay attention to what people are saying. So then when I get on set, I can shoot it from a perspective of a fan, but then also be able to work with like the great writers like Gary, and work alongside with 50 and see what he's thinking in terms of like what's authentic, what's not. And we've been very blessed, man, to be able to do some really, really dope shooting over there for these finales, man. I'm excited about this one as well.
Growing up in New York and being around New York, when Power first started, you could not escape it if you were on the subway. The posters were everywhere. Do you remember what your first exposure to Power was?
Same way, man. I was like, I'm from Chicago, but I remember I was in Chicago, and I flew from Chicago to LA, and there was like this Power everywhere. I was like, what is this show? Yeah. And then I watched, I was like, yo, this shit dope. You know what I mean? And Amari Hartwig and the whole team and Joseph, and yeah, man. And it's funny now to think about how long Power's been going. And I was just saying earlier today, man, like, there's no mistakes. And it's interesting because as the Power universe has grown, the most tangible product inside the Power universe is Tommy. You know what I mean? Because he's the linchpin for the whole world. He's the only thing we have left. And Kate, you know what I mean? So it's really dope, man, to watch Force Power now and understand that, you know, that brand has sparked so much interest and given so many jobs and given so many others opportunities in this world that would never get them. And, you know, what else is so beautiful, man, is just seeing how selfless, you know, and giving 50 Cent has been, you know, because most times, I was saying earlier, in our culture, when you're a rapper, people think, oh yeah, like, you always battling for number one. I'm the number one this, I'm the number one that. And that kind of goes with the stigma of being an artist. But to watch this guy come create a show like this and give jobs to peers, people he's worked with, other rap artists, other musicians, and have no opinion of who they are, just like, come do this. I just think it's brilliant, but it's also why the show works at the highest clip.
Well, two quick questions. And before I get to the first one, you make a really good point about the staying power of Power. Power. There's only one show I can think of that has as many spin-offs and things in the universe, a certain show on AMC, which we don't have to name, that we can telepathically think of what it is. It's incredible to see Power has grown into its own universe. How many TV shows can you say have a universe? So that speaks volumes right there. So back to you, question one. IMDb has a lot of upcoming projects for you. Are we allowed to know what project is next besides Power, or do we just have to keep checking Instagram?
No, man. No, I'm always kind of working on a lot of stuff. Right now, I have a really big movie called Free Agents that's at Sony, which is a cross between Heat and Training Day, which
wow.
I'm really very excited about. I've been working on this for a very long time. And then the bigger tentpole news is we're rebooting Blackula. And yeah, and I'm really excited about that. We're doing that with MGM.
Yeah.
And it's been a wonderful experience with this project, based on the fact that I'm rethreading it and rebooting it in the vein of how Chris Nolan retooled Batman. So we're going to use the same world, except we're going to switch. You know, we're going to shift gears here and create a new world and put Blackula in this new existing place. And I think it's going to be really fun.
I am psyched for that one. And last question I have, sort of a compliment. You are one of the directors that first had, as far as I'm aware, the music video directing success. And nowadays, it seems like every top film director was a music video director. Hype Williams, McG, Little X, etc. F. Gary Gray. Did you know all along that the music video thing was going to be a vehicle to jump, or is that a pure accident for you?
Yeah, I always, you know what, man, going back to the self-taught thing, when I first started, man, I was hungry to shoot anything. So it didn't matter what, it could have been like insects, you know, like, hey man, shoot these 2 ants. And I would have been like, well, where the camera at? You know what I mean? Like I didn't, whatever it was, I just wanted to be a part of it and to do whatever I could do. But yeah, it's a situation where I think for a very long time, music video directors have kind of been the Hollywood phone call. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's always been, oh man, this guy did this great thing, and now you can bring him over here and make him do a movie. I don't think we see it as much as that anymore. Just because now they've separated the world so much to where I want a film guy versus a video guy. I want a TV guy versus a film guy. And that's unfortunately what we are, man. But I think most artists can transcend any world that you put them in. And I like to think I'm an example of that. I had no experience in no world. And I was able to kind of do my own thing. And now I have experience in all the worlds because I was just been floating around like an artist. And the cool thing about it is, you know, you want to get better. This is a lot like sports. It's a reason why Ridley Scott and, you know, all those guys and Scorsese and these guys are incredible the way they are, is because they've had a lot of shots. They've had a lot of reps, and they're prolific because they're great at what they do. And I think we have a long way to go to catch them and be like that. You know what I mean? Spike Lee and all those guys. But yeah, man, it's about at-bats. And if you got to shoot some ants or shoot some music videos or shoot, you know, 2 people dancing on the roof, whatever it is, man, get your at-bat and get your reps up.
Deon, I'm looking forward to Free Agents. I'm looking forward to the Blackula reboot.
Yes.
Congratulations on Power Force, etc. Just keep up all the greatness, man.
Man, thank you so much for that, man. I really appreciate it. Hope to speak soon.
Paltrocast.
It really shows the evolution of things with filmmaking, horror, etc. Because 15 years ago, the term made-for-TV movie was frightening. Like, oh, make a movie for people, that's gross. But Shudder's this fantastic destination. Do either of you have a memory of when you first learned about Shudder?
Yeah, I think yes. It was on when we made our first feature. We made a first feature, Bedeviled, back in 2015, and it was released in 2016. We had heard about Shudder, but we had already sold our film to Voltage and to Freestyle, and we had heard about Shudder, you know, and I think it was just at the time gaining traction, like, oh, this new place, you know, with horrors and thrillers. It's like Netflix, but just only for horror fans. And so we always, you know, had that in the back of our minds, like, okay, you know what, that's probably a place that we could always, you know, go to. And flash forward, you know, I don't know how many years now. Yeah, here we are. And here we are, you know, and seeing that, you know, how the growth of their platform. Wow, like they have their own originals, they have their own TV shows.
They cater to really a wide audience. That you know, you don't have to just be a horror fan. You know, there's, you know, they have great content there for everyone. You know, from your hardcore horror fans to, you know, someone who's just looking for a good film to watch.
Paltrocast.